Hello, everyone. This is the latest episode of Roomies Review the Movies. I am Lindsay,
I'm Maria.
and today we are reviewing 2000's Romeo Must Die.
Yes. We're
That is,
reviewing Romeo Must Die because I did not see it.
yes, you did not see it, and I didn't remember it. That is starring Jet Li and Aaliyah.
Aaliyah. Yeah,
R.I.P. R.I.P. to Aaliyah. I think this was her first lead role.
it was.
Yeah. Also
What do
has
you remember about the movie when going to see it when it came out in 2000?
I didn't go and see it. I watched it on TV. Yeah. So I just remember I'm not a big fan of Jet Li's style of marketing.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back now.
Right. Okay. So yeah, she was still alive when I saw it, and she was a really good actress, and I think she won an award at the MTV Movie Awards for this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember what category, but I believe she did win an award.
Okay.
But she did really well. The movie also stars Delroy Lindo, Isaiah Washington, um, Anthony Anderson,
And DMX.
and DMX. Yeah, yeah. Um, Now this was probably, I think this was his second film at the time.
DMX?
Yeah, because
Okay.
his first one was Belly, and this came out in 2000. So I think this was his second one. And I want to say Belly came out in '98,
All right.
and then Exit Wounds came out in '01. So I think this was his second one. And he's not in it that much at all. I
No, he's not. He's
Yeah,
in the beginning and the end, and that's it.
and that's it. Right. I did not remember. I remember he wasn't in it a lot, but I did not remember that it was only two scenes.
Yeah. Only two scenes.
Yeah, yeah. So let's just go on ahead and go through the
Yeah, let's
plot.
run through the plot.
Yep. So basically, what the movie is that we have um these two drug families, and they
These
are,
families in fair Oakland where we lay our scene.
yes, yes, and they also have of course they have companies that are fronts, but I guess they're trying to get out of the drug scene. I couldn't 100% uh, grasp if they were trying to 100% get out of the drug scene or not.
Well, Delroy Lindo, whose name in the movie is Isaac O'Day,
Hmm.
he is trying to get out of it. He wants to be just like totally legit.
Okay.
We don't
Oh,
really get to hear too much from Shu if that's what he wanted.
yeah, yeah. But they're trying to sell this waterfront property to this guy because he wants to bring, I think it's an NFL.
The Raiders,
Yeah, he wants to bring them back to the Bay.
yeah, back to the Bay,
Yeah.
which they did go to the Bay, and now they're away from the Bay. They're not in the
Right.
Bay anymore.
Right. They're out of California altogether now.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Raiders can't stay put.
They really can't. They really can't. So in order for them to get the contract with this person that wants to bring the NFL back to the Bay, um, there's a lot of these businesses that are along the Bay
Yeah,
that they are strong arming to get the deeds for so that they can sell the property. And it's a lot of people that don't want to sell. And
Yeah.
the guy is like, y'all got till X amount of time, or I'm not bringing them back to the
Yeah.
bay. So,
Yeah. We have the Chinese gang and we have the black gang, and they're both trying to get these properties together so they could, give them out to the white real estate developers.
right, right, right.
And Isaac wants to be a black NFL owner, the first
Mm.
black NFL owner, because there hadn't been any, and there still aren't any. So
Yeah, they have some minority, don't they?
probably, but there are no owners.
Yeah, I thought they had a couple minority owners, but yeah, you're right. There's no major owners. Um, yeah, which they've been addressing for some years now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
this movie is 22 years old. So
right. Right. Yeah. Do you feel like it aged well?
I feel like it's very much of its time
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like production and like costume and stuff. Like, one
Mm-hmm.
thing that really stuck out to me is during some scenes where they don't have like Aaliyah's music or DMX music or music from the soundtrack. Um, they have this kind of very strange bass score. It just sounds like somebody plucking away at a bass for no particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is very of the time.
Right, right, right.
Um, but other than that, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't really go into it expecting anything too much. I'd only seen Aaliyah in Queen of the Damned, right?
Okay.
And I was like, it was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the movie being very, it just kind of existed. And
Yeah.
she was much better here
Yeah.
in this film. She was very charming and believable.
Yes. Yes. I can agree with that. Yeah. Seeing Queen of the Dam after seeing Romeo Must Die was a complete contrast,
Hmm.
which I can appreciate. You know, I can appreciate because wasn't nobody really doing that back then.
Yeah.
So definitely can appreciate where she was going with her career.
Yes. Ugh.
Also, doing the Matrix sequels too.
I know. There were so many other plans in the works. Like her star was really about to be a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just tragic.
Absolutely. Yeah. So unfortunate. But yeah, back to the plot. so so yeah, so that's basically what's going on. And the Asian head of the gang, he has a son
Yeah.
that he is like, feeling himself a little bit too
Cole
much.
was just hanging out at the club.
Yeah, but
But
he was
you know what I
in
realized?
a club
You know
that
what I
he
realized?
in.
He had called. Um, he had called Colin. He was the one who called Colin, said he
Hmm.
had something that would squash his whole beef
Yeah,
because he had a list of the properties and that he wanted to meet him at that club. That's why he was there.
yeah, 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 but still wasn't a good look for them to meet there.
Yeah, unfortunately, because that is the rival gangs club. So what are we doing?
Right. And this is like a private meetup, so don't nobody know why you're there, and the way that you're acting while you're there, looking like you want to cause hell. So yeah, it wasn't a good look. Um,
Well, he was minding his business with him and his girl,
yeah, but
but
a
then,
Asian person minding their own business in the all black club
well,
is not
especially because it's the club of your rival. Like you could have just waited in the car for the dude to show up or something, you
right.
know.
Or you could just met somewhere else. Like y'all didn't have to go to that
Well,
club.
see, no, it was his decision. It was Colin's decision to meet there because he was like, I don't trust him. So he wanted to
Uh,
meet somewhere he was comfortable and had backup.
okay. Yeah, I didn't catch that part.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, yeah, you're right. He could have just waited in the car for him. Yeah. So, but hey, it is what it is at this point. So, yeah. So we get our first fight scene there at the club. What did you think of the fight scene?
I thought it was kind of funny, honestly, because of course, like he's there, he gets approached by some of the black men from the rival gang, insults get traded, they start fighting. That makes sense. And then like Poe's backup comes into the club and they start fighting. Okay, I get that. And then
Mhm.
there's another point where there are these three kind of random men, and one has like locks, one has a big fro,
Mhm.
and I don't know what the other one was doing, but it was just like, who are they? They were just like, yeah, sure, we'll try. Like, I don't know. We don't know who they are. They never show up again, and it just seemed very random.
Yeah, I can only think that they were security of the club.
With the big afro and a satin shirt.
I mean, maybe he was trying to blend in. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he was a bartender that wanted part of the action. I don't know.
Right, he wanted the action.
Yeah, he was. It was a boring night. Boring night. I don't know. So, so yeah, visually,
Mhm.
the way that they framed it was nice. It was very nice. That's what stood out to me with that fight scene, especially when they pulled the guns out. The
Yeah,
framing was
yeah,
great.
that part I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And then I was like, how are we going to get out of this one? And that's when DMX shows up.
and that's when DMX shows up, and he shoots his own roof. Yeah,
I mean, but he's trying to prevent anybody else from getting shot. So
get it. I get it. But that's what I was thinking. I was just like, he's gonna have to patch that up.
sure.
So, and he
Maybe
might.
he'll write it off on some insurance claim or something.
Right, right. So yeah, so that's how that ended. Um, so yeah, so he goes out, or they end up leaving the club. He has some words outside with the guy that was supposed to be watching over him.
Kai.
Yeah, so he ends up leaving, and then the next thing you know, um, there's another scene where the guy that has all this drama,
Poe.
Poe, he's hanging from a tree.
Yeah. And what seems to be a black neighborhood.
Right, right. So that pretty much starts the gang war.
Yes. That starts the gang war. Um, Isaac goes to see Chu to like, give him some flowers, try to convince Chu that, hey, we didn't have anything to do with this. Chu, of course, doesn't believe him.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. But they have a bigger fish to fry. They have to get this deal closed.
Right. We got a ticking clock on this deal.
Right. So they have to work together. So even though his son just died, business still continues. So.
Right. And while they're trying to do this, Jet Li is in prison in China somewhere,
Hmm.
and he gets the information pretty quickly that his brother had been murdered, and that's where we get another fight scene of him trying to get out of prison, right?
Yeah.
And this one I liked a lot because there's one point in the fight scene where he's hanging upside down with like
Hmm.
one hand tied behind his back while he's
Hmm.
trying to fight his way out of prison. Can't hear you. Sorry for the technical difficulties, y'all. There you
Okay.
go.
I don't know what's going on. I was having issues earlier working. Sorry, guys. But yeah. So where was we at?
We were talking about Jet Li fighting his way out of prison, and he's like hanging upside down.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So his hands were chained together once they got him in that room and had him chained upside down. It was on a long chain though, and so he was playing like he was passed out. So they was gonna whip him while he was hanging upside down. He was hanging from one foot, and that was a pretty cool fight scene.
Yeah,
Give him that. That was a pretty cool fight scene. Um, but yeah, he kicked everybody's ass upside down.
he sure did. And he
Yeah.
was he almost got caught because this guard wanted to talk to him about placing the bet, like on the horse
Mhm.
track or something.
Yeah.
But he gets out, and
Yeah.
he goes to see his father.
Right.
He attends the funeral they have for Poe,
Yeah.
which I was like, oh, I didn't even expect for them to have a funeral scene, but I was really glad that they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of times in movies like this, somebody will die and you'll just never hear about it, and it's like
Yeah.
nobody's affected by it.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
they had this funeral, and it's very affecting. Like, dad is torn up. You know, Han, that's Jet Li's character, is very torn up about it, and
Mm.
he confronts his dad as he's estranged. They've been estranged, right? Because apparently Han was a cop, and he helped his brother escape. But I guess his dad got arrested. But later on, they say Han actually went to jail to serve the sentence for his dad, and that's
Mm.
why he was in prison. Because
Yeah.
you're like, how did this policeman end up in prison then? That's
Right.
why
Right.
he took the bid for his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of them supporting him while he was in jail, they fled to
Hmm.
America.
Left him in that prison to rot.
Right. And that doesn't look like they have the best accommodations in that prison.
Yeah, no.
So yeah. Yeah, I would feel some type of way when I saw my dad again.
Especially now that your little brother is dead, and like the he said what he said to his mother was that he would protect him. You know.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. So yeah, so we have that dynamic going on. So now because it's his brother that died, he has to figure out what happened to his brother. And so he's going around. He ends up hot wiring a car,
Well,
the
first
taxi.
he takes a car, the taxi, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one he hot wired.
Oh no, I thought he got the keys from the dude from his pocket. He
No,
hot
he.
wired that one. Okay,
Mm,
because
yeah.
the way he bumped into him, it was giving me pickpocket.
Oh yeah, yeah. But no, that's how Leah realized what was going on when she was in the car, because he ain't had no keys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So, Aaliyah character, her name is Trish. She is the owner of a store.
I think it's a cafe, but they also have clothes. And there
Yeah,
was also a DJ with kids dancing. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like a community kind of center thing. I don't know.
it was a lot going on in the store.
Yeah.
So, um, because her family is in the life, sometimes her brother comes and uses her phone.
Mhm.
After she's repeatedly told them that she doesn't want no parts of the life, don't use my phone for your business, so forth and so on.
Yeah,
Um,
she doesn't want anything to do with the business. She doesn't like that her father is in it. She really doesn't even want to talk to him about it. But she does like clearly love her brother.
hmm Yeah, yeah, you can tell they have a close bond.
And her brother is played by DB Woodside,
Hmm.
who was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show.
Yep.
And he was and the most recent TV show he's in is Lucifer, where he plays the angel Menadil.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I believe that him and Golden Brooks have a child together.
Oh, I don't know.
Mistaken.
All I know is that he and I don't have a child together.
Yeah, kind of missed that boat. So yeah. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they have a child together. But anyway, so yeah, he's gearing up to take over once their dad
Yeah.
retires. But
He
it
wants his
doesn't.
dad to give him a shot, treat him like
Right,
a real man, give him some
right.
responsibility.
But it doesn't look like he's doing that anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, because his dad's still trying to make this deal. He's really focused on wanting to be this NFL owner.
Hmm.
He's telling, because we also have Isaiah Washington's character is Mac, who's like the first lieutenant, like his right hand man.
Right,
So he
right.
tells him like, hey, as long as I'm getting money, you're getting money too. Mac doesn't know he's focusing on trying to be an NFL owner, but that he's trying to do
Hmm.
this real estate deal. So he's like, as long as I got it, you got it,
Right.
Mac. And then he tries to assure Colin like, as soon as this deal goes through, we're gonna be doing things. So, I'm gonna put you in a place of responsibility. Just hold on.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems like Isaiah Washington's character, his name is Mac, right?
Hmm.
It seems like he has some type of um, jealousy towards the son.
I guess we don't really get to see too much of what Mac thinks about things, other than that he keeps trying to hit on Aaliyah, on Trish
Yeah, which
in a
was,
very threatening way. Like,
yeah, it was so weird.
it's not
So
smooth or romantic. You know what I mean?
right, right, but it felt like he was, because of him being the right hand, knowing the ins and outs of the business, and being the one that would be a shoe in to take his spot. It seemed like he knew deep down, because he's not blood, that would never be his spot. Whereas his son, Colin, really ain't the one that's responsible enough to take that spot.
Well, I don't know that as Isaac was getting ready to give up his spot anytime soon either. Uh, I think he was just going to let uh, Colin get a little bit of responsibility, like give him something to manage first. You know.
Right, right, right.
Um, yeah, there was possibly some jealousy there, but
They
we
don't,
don't really
yeah,
get to
they
see too
dive
much of it.
too much into it.
Yeah,
It's so much going on. They dive more into him trying to hit on Trish than
it's
any,
true.
yeah, which was,
Also, I was reading up on Romeo Must Die, and
mhm.
apparently on the set, Isaiah Washington was engaging in homophobic behavior,
Yeah, I saw,
and Aaliyah had to call him out.
yeah, I saw that in that link you sent, which actually goes on brand
Yes,
with,
it does.
so yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's currently in the show. Um, oh gosh, P Valley.
yes,
He plays the mayor, who is also a horrible person. So
yes. He played the hell out of that part too.
it's hitting a little close to home, sir.
Just a tad, just a tad. So, so yeah, so she has this shop or whatever, and she ends up leaving, but because of the situation that's going on between the families, the dad put 24-hour security on his kids.
In the form of Anthony Anderson.
Right, that's where Anthony Anderson comes into play. And this ain't the black
Black.
Anthony Anderson. This is the barbershop
This
Anthony
is
Anderson.
old school, fluffy,
Right. It's fluffy, gap tooth. Like, this is old school Anthony Anderson.
original recipe.
Annoying, not funny Anthony Anderson. So, yeah.
All I could think was like, wow, Chris Tucker would be so much better at this.
But the show would have focused on Chris Tucker.
And he probably right about that.
Yeah. And I don't think Chris Tucker was so selective with his picking for what he
Hmm.
did. He wouldn't have played nothing but the
Yeah,
star.
yeah. Hey, I don't blame him,
True.
especially at this time.
Exactly, exactly. I think Rush Hour 2 came out in '01.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. So yeah. So out of all the people that they could have put on Trish, they put this clown on Trish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course she's able to get away from him because he's a fool,
Right.
and she gets into the cab with Han, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like ducking down. She's like, whatever, just get me away from here.
Right. She
And
gave him
so,
extra money and everything.
yeah, so he hot wires the car, and I guess he's. They probably drive on the right side of the road or something in Chenners. I don't know. I don't know because he's having like a hard time driving the vehicle.
Right. I thought it was
I don't
because
know.
he drove in a long time.
It could be that too. I don't know, but for whatever reason, he has a hard time driving the vehicle through the parking lot.
Right.
Um,
Which is
and she sees the ID for the driver, and she's like, "Okay, Akbar."
right. Right. So the wheels start turning her head. She realized that yeah, this ain't the person that's supposed to be driving this car.
Right, but she doesn't care because she wants to get away from Anthony Anderson. So
Exactly. Exactly. So they have a good rapport or whatever. And then he lets her out because she had left. She went to the record store Anthony Anderson drove her to the record store.
Hmm.
So she got away from Anthony Anderson there, and that's how she got in the taxi. So he ended up taking her back to to her store.
Hmm.
So then he goes to
To his brother's apartment.
his brother's apartment, starts, looking at things, fishing around to see if he can get any clues. He
Yeah,
finds
I
the
can't hear you. But yeah, he goes back to his brother's apartment. He's looking for clues. He comes across this flattened basketball, and there's like this little flashback to this memory of him and his younger brother swimming and having a good time. And he's
uh,
just kind of reminiscing on the loss of his brother.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
And
then
he finds out his brother, the last phone number his brother called was the phone number to Aaliyah's store.
yes, yes. So then he also finds that list of places as well in his car.
He doesn't find that yet.
He doesn't. Oh,
No. He finds that later on.
okay, okay. So
Um,
so
right.
yeah,
But in the
so
meantime, in the background, we have a bunch of like murders happening.
yes,
Like this black
barbershop.
barbershop gets blown up. And then there was an incident with this store owner and his wife who got murdered. So this war is just like going on in the background, like a lot of
Mhm.
violence while they're still trying to close this multi-million-dollar real estate deal.
Right, right. So they got that going on. They trying to figure out this whole murder situation because if they find out who killed Han's son, then it will all cease.
Yeah.
So they trying to figure that out too. They don't, of course, they don't want police involved. So it's just a lot going on.
Yes.
So
So once he realizes it was her store that he called, Han follows Aaliyah home and basically bursts in her apartment as she's getting there to question her about this. And I just really love Aaliyah's character in this movie.
yeah,
She's smart. She's very savvy. Like she doesn't get thrown off by too much.
yeah,
She's funny. You know, she's not in distress most of the time or anything like that. Like she's not just screaming and crying in the corner. You know what I mean?
right, right. And I feel like that's partly because she's the daughter of a drug kingpin.
Yeah.
So your head got to be on a
You
swivel.
would hope so, right? But you know how a lot of these movies they don't really give the women too much.
Right, right. They act entitled and spoiled and whatnot, but
Right.
she's completely the opposite. She's
Yeah.
completely opposite. So kudos to the writers for that.
The characterization for sure.
Yes.
So he follows her in the apartment, you know, and she still keeps it cool because I would have freaked. Uh, uh,
We've been throwing
and they're talking about like why her brother might have not her brother, but his brother may have called her. She's trying to figure out what it is. She realizes, you know, her brother often makes calls there, so that was probably where the connection comes from. She hears
hmm
noises outside. It's Anthony Anderson and like a couple of other dudes coming to check on her. Um, so Han pretends to be a delivery guy. He
hmm
keeps saying that he delivered some dim sum, delicious dim sum. So that's what Anthony Anderson calls him from now on.
Right.
Um, so that trick doesn't work, and we get another little fight scene on the stairs. This
Where
one was a little more humorous, of course.
right. And he beats everybody up.
He beats Anthony Anderson 3 times in this movie.
Yes. Yes. And it
And each time, Anthony Anderson's like, it's no problem, I can take him. I'm like, but this never works out for you.
at all. At all. And it was like five of them, and they were all football type men,
Yeah. On a
and beat
set
them
of narrow stairs, like, it just wasn't going to happen.
at all, not in the least. At
And at the end of the fight, he actually jumps into their car that they left running. He was like, I love this country. It's free cars everywhere.
right, and so and they had a navigator too, so he really came up.
He came up from a taxi cab.
Right, right. So yeah, so that's messed up. You get beat up and you get your car took.
Every
So
time it just gets worse for Anthony Anderson.
it really does. It really does. So they ended up he ended up running into her again at the park. And so that's when he really got to explain what was going on. And he was asking her, did she get a chance to talk to her brother? Fortunately, she hadn't at that point. And um, she, the guys that are part of her father's organization are out there playing football. And so Mac sees Trish talking to what's Jet Li's character name
Han.
again? Han. Sees Trish talking to Han, and he goes over to try to run interference on whatever was going
He
on.
thinks it's happening, right?
Right. So then he asked Han if he wants to play football with them. Tries to explain real simple, I'm gonna pass the ball to you. I just need you to run it down the middle.
And of course, they're planning to like get revenge, basically, on
Yes.
Han for the
Yeah.
ass whooping he laid down.
Right. It's full tackle. So they do a couple of plays, knock him on his back. He's
There's
like,
one shot in particular where he has been knocked on his back, is laying there, about to get
"Mhm."
up, and he sees like Anthony Anderson and two other men about to like just completely smush him,
Yes,
and
they
he
did a
just kind of
whole
gives up. He's just
yeah,
like, oh, whatever.
they did a
If it's
whole
my time, it's my time.
right. I was just like, all them ribs is probably broke, everything like hit probably out of whack, all that. Just the fact that he got up and was able to walk and continue playing was a miracle. That was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So
He does eventually end up getting the best of them, though.
yes, yeah. So they did two plays where they got him. So he asked, "Hey, why are they always tackling me?" Max says, "Because you have the ball."
Right, because he and Mac are supposed to be on the same team.
Right. So, so on the third play, he takes the ball. He doesn't even allow Mac to throw it to him. He just takes the ball. Then he gives it to everybody and beats them up in the process. It was hilarious.
Yes.
Hilarious. Then he scores. And was like, I love football.
Wins the game. Oh.
Yeah. So um he ends up leaving. Trish said that she was gonna talk to her brother. Fortunately, she wasn't able to talk to her brother because the next thing you know, he's over his lady friend's house, venting about the whole situation.
Yeah, they're smoking and
What,
drinking.
yeah, smoking and drinking. He was venting about wanting more responsibility.
It's on
She
the
goes
way.
in,
You know that?
right, right.
Sir, calm down. You
She
don't have anything yet.
like, yeah, I agree.
You the man, baby. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So she goes and opens the door, and next thing you know, they're thrown out the window. And they was in a high-rise condo. They got thrown out
Overlooking the water.
overlooking the water. They went into the water.
I was like, wow, why they gotta drown? Is it because black people can't swim? Is that what we're doing?
Right. That's what I was just like. So maybe because I was looking at it too, like maybe they shot them before they pushed them out the window.
Well, no, there is a certain height for you to be able to hit water where it will start breaking bones, where it'll be like hitting cement.
And they
Yeah,
had to be at that height because they was in a high rise.
yeah.
Yeah. So okay, that makes sense. Because I was just like, okay, because I don't want to put it on the whole. Because I mean, they said they drowned, and I was just like, that ain't too
They gotta
real,
drown.
right? But but yeah, unfortunately, he passes away. So add him to the list of the people that have passed away. Which is the thing that he was trying to prevent was for his kids to get hit. So now Trish is mad at her dad
Yeah,
for the
he's like, I
situation.
hate you.
Right. So however, her dad is like, you're gonna have to come with me because it's just too hot. So she has to go stay at the house.
Yeah, and at one point she's like, I'll be fine. Then, whatever, because she's just mad at him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Trish, you can't be this hard headed now. Come on, your brother just died. Your brother was just murdered.
Right. Right.
I really do love her relationship with her dad.
Hmm.
Even though it's contentious a lot, there's
Yeah.
clearly like so much love there between the
Yeah.
two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just she doesn't love what he does.
No, she doesn't love what he does, and she doesn't love the consequences it creates.
Hmm. Yeah. I know when I was watching, I was just like, I understand you don't like what he does or whatnot, but I'm sure you benefited from it with this store.
Right. We have no idea how that happened.
Right.
We don't
Right.
know anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's a whole another subject. So, yeah. So she's at the house.
Right.
Um, Han ends up following her there.
They have the balcony scene. This is
Yeah.
the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. Because he's outside her window, like on
Mhm.
her little balcony or whatever. And of course she's freaking out, like, what are you doing here? Everybody's downstairs, whatever. And her dad comes in twice, right? So he has to hide, which is another thing that happens in Romeo and Juliet, where they
Mhm.
almost get caught.
Yeah.
And eventually they leave together. And I was just like, we're missing one thing. We're missing one thing that
What's that?
happens in this scene.
The kiss. Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler alert: they don't kiss in the movie
Ever.
at all.
They're so cute together. I liked them together. I thought they worked. I thought they had chemistry. I know a lot of other critics disagree, but I thought they worked.
I thought they had good chemistry too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I did a little bit of research on it, like why don't they kiss? 'Cause I even remember at the time, like
Mhm.
them not kissing was like a big deal. Like people were
Yeah.
like, why did they kiss? It don't make any sense. And the couple of things I found were they were saying, oh well, they had a scene where they kissed, but it didn't test well with urban audiences.
Mm.
And if you don't remember, urban at that time meant black. So,
Right. Right.
which I find hard to believe, but okay. And
No, I
then
can believe that. I can believe that.
I believe some people would have a problem with it for sure. I don't believe there was such a big problem, such an uproar that they were like, cut it. I don't think.
It's
Uh,
Aaliyah. I don't know if you remember, but literally every heterosexual man was in love with Aaliyah.
that's true.
So,
That's true.
and Jet
And
Li,
still are. Drake.
Aaliyah still are exactly, exactly. So
But
Jet
the
Li,
other thing I found was Jet Li apparently has spoken about it at one point, and he was saying that they didn't think it would be the move for him to kiss her at the end because of what happens at the end.
mm,
Um, but I was like, it didn't have to be there, right?
okay.
Because there's this scene on the balcony, and then there's another scene where they're dancing. I was like, could have been there, either one of these.
I would have expected more when they were dancing.
Yeah.
You know.
And then we also have the factor in that Jet Li is like 15 years older than
Mhm.
Aaliyah, which he's like 34, 35. She's like 2021 at this point.
But
But they knew that when they cast them.
and the characters, I know he's older, but I don't think Han was 15 years older than Trish.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, um, Jet Li doesn't look that much older than Aaliyah, where you'd be like, whoa, he does look like an older person, but they're clearly both adults.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Maybe the whole age thing would have been an issue because of the R. Kelly situation. Because even
People
though
didn't
that,
really care about R. Kelly like that then, though.
but remember, R. Kelly and Aaliyah got married
I know.
when she was 15.
I remember.
And this was before the infamous sex tape hit the streets.
Mhm.
However, we did know that Aaliyah and R. Kelly got married. So it could have been her people that was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna go there.
But if that's the case, why even do this?
It was a great opportunity. That's the only thing I can come up with because it's like it's so weird that they did not kiss.
Yeah.
You know? So
I mean, if they're not going to do that, then let's call it something else. Don't say it's based on Romeo and Juliet or takes inspiration from Romeo and Juliet. Make it
yeah,
something
'cause
else.
they were passionate. They were in love, you know. So, mm,
Because they both lost a lot, during this war and everything. Makes sense, but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So, yeah, yeah, that, yeah. So basically, it comes down to the wire where they got to get these contracts signed because the man's about to pull out. He gave them a deadline. They um they ended up getting everybody except for DMX's character.
Yeah. And see, what Mac had been doing that Isaac didn't know was he was just killing people
Right.
or threatening them. There's one scene that just made me laugh so much where this guy has like, I guess he picks up crabs. I don't know what you call these people who are
Crab.
crabbers, I guess. I don't know.
They're crab fishermen.
I
I know
guess.
there gotta be. I think there
I
is a
know
specific
there's a word.
word for them.
I just don't
But
know what it is.
think of it. Yeah.
But he's threatening this guy about selling his property, and he has a gun to the dude's head. But then he also pushes him into the crabs,
Yeah.
as if the crabs are the real threat. And
And they're
there is one crab
barely
that like hangs onto his collar as if he's working with Mac. Like, like
right, right. Like the crabs barely moved.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, the crabs are
Crabs,
not the threat,
I
sir.
don't
You
want
have
no
a
dark.
gun to his head. I don't think you need to push him into the crabs.
Right. The crabs was like, I don't want dark meat. I'm a vegetarian.
Right?
So
Or maybe they were
they
like,
didn't want
yeah,
no part.
yeah, get him out of here. We can all live free,
Right. Right. They didn't want no parts. So yeah. Yeah. So I think the only one that the last one that held out was DMX. He ended up killing DMX.
We did. But before that, um, Aaliyah actually goes to Poe's apartment, and
Yeah.
Han finds her there, and the apartment was totally trashed.
Hmm.
Some of Isaac's people probably came by and trashed it or whatever.
Hmm.
And she's like crying. She's crying real tears.
Yeah.
I watched. They had this like a behind the scenes MTV thing that came
Hmm.
out right before the movie was released.
Yeah.
So you can find that on YouTube. And it was talking about that scene in particular and how she was saying she wanted to like actually cry. She didn't want to use any glycerin or fake tears or whatever. And she used the memory of her grandmother's death
Yeah.
to get the tears going. But they're both there together. They've both been through so much, and Han's looking around the room and everything for any kind of clues, and he finds his brother's car keys. So he goes down to the garage and he finds his brother's car. And his brother's car is a cane, and in the cane is this slip of paper with all these addresses on it.
Hmm.
So they figure out these addresses are for waterfront properties. And Trish remembers, oh yeah, Mac and my dad were talking about this particular property as a casino. We should go check it out. So they go to check it out. They get there, and she's wearing this baseball cap. She takes it off, turns it backwards, and puts it on his head so he can look a little bit more hip hop, right?
Yeah.
I know how to look hip hop or whatever. I was like, sure, okay, it's cute.
Right.
And they get in and like they dance to her song.
Hmm.
And I was
Right.
like, this is where they should kiss.
Right. Right. It would have made sense for it to
Yeah.
happen there. Um.
Oh, but we forgot. There was or is this before or after? No, this has to be after. Um, they find this warehouse that belonged to the Chinese crew, and everybody had been murdered, right? And it had only just recently happened. Like the dude's cigar was still smoking, and
Oh.
the
Yeah.
people who did it like leave, and so they're
Mhm.
chasing the people who did it, and it's a motorcycle chase. This motorcycle's like in the air and shooting at the car and everything, and it's a pretty good chase scene actually.
Yeah.
And
Then was
they
another fun scene.
yeah, they are able to corner one of the riders, and Jet Li's going to fight the rider, and she pulls off her helmet. It's this beautiful Chinese lady, And he's like shocked first that she's Chinese, and then second that she's a woman. And Trisha's like, "What are you doing? Go fight her!" Like, you
Right.
know. And he's like, "I can't hit a woman." And she was like, "Are you serious? Like, this is no time for manners." Uh,
Right.
so what they do, because Trish doesn't have the martial arts training, is he guides her body to fight this lady. Right?
Hmm.
I love it. This is like,
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite fight scene.
Yeah.
Because
They
it's,
had some pretty cool fight scenes in this movie.
yeah, this one and I think the very last one were probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Uh, but he's like moving her around like she's her own nunchuck and like guiding her punches
Mm,
and her kicks and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Also, this is kind of hot. And you're
yeah.
telling me they're not going to kiss? They're going to
Right.
go dancing later and they're not going to kiss? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, yeah. Just, I mean, I'm not a fan of his style because he uses the strings,
Yeah,
but
the wire work.
yeah, but the actual fight scenes themselves, they are pretty cool. Like you can't take that away from the movie, you know. So the movie, I mean, like just the ideas of them all, you know, they're pretty cool.
How to make them different.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Because the whole thing with him using her body to fight that girl, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at some of the behind the scenes stuff, because at this time, Jet Li had been like a producer on films for on like 24 films. He'd been acting in films since he was a teenager. He'd been a
Hmm.
5-time like national Chinese martial arts champion, like
Hmm.
big deal, you know. And looking at the behind the scenes, he's like actually telling them like, I'm gonna go this way with her and do this kind of thing, and then you guys can do it. Like he's choreographing the whole
Right.
thing.
Right. Right. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. But they
It
get
takes
to that nightclub, and that's
it's a
where
lot
Max
that
shows
goes
up.
into it.
Oh, there's so much that goes on,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But they finally get to that Mac. They finally get to that nightclub, and they're dancing. They're having a cute little time, or whatever. Which I'm like, we're just not on a mission. What's going on? But
Hmm.
Mac shows up,
Yeah.
and that's when the problems start.
Right. Right. That's when he kills DMX,
Yeah, his
and
character's
then
name is Silk because DMX Silky. His name is Silk.
that's
Silk
funny.
refuses to sell
Never,
out.
right. I never knew his name.
Yeah,
So yeah. So he kills Silk, and um, yeah. So it's a whole melee that ends up ensuing, and uh,
yeah. But
I think
because I mean, that also was the nightclub where Poe was last seen, so was another
right.
reason they went there. So he then abducts Trish and Han, and and then Han kind of like gets out, I guess, and then like makes his way to the meeting point because this is the night like everybody's got their deeds together. They're gonna get their checks. So the Chinese group and the black group are all gonna meet and get their checks for the real estate.
Right. 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 So they end up, yeah, they ended up being abducted by Mac, and then they end up somehow getting,
To the meeting, I have no idea.
yeah. So yeah, and then they got to loose from Mac some kind of way
Well,
because,
Han did. Trish didn't.
but she got away enough to go find a gun.
Oh, that was afterwards. The Chinese group they get their check, right?
Hmm.
They leave. Isaac O'Day comes in, and he's given this check for $38 million, right? But he's like, no, you know what? You can keep that because I want to be an owner, right? I want to be an owner in the NFL. And the white dudes are upset, and then Mac is upset because Mac is like, you want to go legit and everything. I just want to run the streets. And she's like, are you serious? Like, that's very small thinking, my guy. And he's really upset about it. And he's like, I've got your most valuable asset here. And he brings out Trish. And he's like, is she worth $38 million? And Deborah Doe's like, yes. Like that. I love my daughter. What do you
Hmm.
mean? Um, and then it's revealed that Mac
Yeah.
is the one who killed Colin.
Right.
And that all the Chinese folks who got killed were done by Chinese gangs, in
Hmm.
particular Shu's father. Because Kai put it in Shu's head that it was these other Chinese gangs who were like also creating a bunch of drama.
Hmm.
So they had gone after a few of those Chinese gangs. And Shu kind of gets like a bad bitch moment. He's like, you know, he's like, oh well, after I kill you, your territories will come back to the group, and the group is basically me. So thank you. Like,
Right, right.
um, so Mac reveals, hey, that he was the one who killed Colin. He was like, I guess collard greens just couldn't swim or whatever.
Mm.
And Isaac goes after him, like he's trying to
Mm.
choke him out. Um, but Mac has a couple of guns. He pulls a gun. He shoots Isaac in his stomach, and more guns go off. The white dudes are scared. Like the
Mhm.
guy who's holding Aaliyah, his name is Nigel, apparently. He's who was like holding Aaliyah during this entire time, and she's
Uh-huh.
fighting to get free. He gets shot,
Okay.
and
That's
also, you
look.
know, uh, Han is there too, trying to rescue her and everything. And her dad is shot, and he's like, "Well, you stay here with your dad." And I guess this guy who was working there was like, "I've called the ambulance or whatever. They're on the way." Um, the white dudes are going to the roof to like fly off in their helicopter, you know, with their land deals, I guess. But one of the guys drops this suitcase with the paperwork.
Mm.
He was on the roof, and he's like, "Go back down." I was like, that is not happening." What are you talking about?
At all. At all. Like
Uh,
you'll get the copies from the lawyers another day.
right.
Like
And so Han is out there, and he actually picks up the attaché case with the papers in it. And Mac is out there too. He's gonna shoot Han, and Han like deflects the bullet with the case and everything. Uh, and then you also hear, while he's shooting, you also hear a shot, right? And it actually ends up that Mac is shot, and it pans backwards, and it's Trish holding the gun.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, I forgot all about that middle part because I'm like, she got away because she shot him.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, that's cold." He's like, "That's
Yeah.
cold, or whatever." And it's like he's gonna raise his gun to shoot her. She shoots him again, and he
Hmm.
falls off the building. And I really love that because it makes so much narrative sense, right? Mac is the one who killed her father and her brother. She should be the one to kill him,
Right. Most appropriate.
right? And
Most
and I
appropriate.
was just glad it wasn't. They made it so that Han killed him.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it should have been her, and it was her. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah. But that's how you know that she even though she shuns the life is in her because I'm sure this was her first body and she was not messed up behind it,
No,
you know.
might have been her first body. Definitely not her first time shooting a gun.
Right, right. But you know, a first body can kind of have you messed up regardless on who it is, you know.
I mean, maybe. I mean, she just saw her father die in front of her eyes, and her brother just died like a week ago. Maybe.
Yeah. You know, I get it. I get it, but still,
I would have nothing left.
yeah.
You
So,
know,
yeah, but I mean, she handled it like a pro,
she did.
you know. So yeah, so Han realizes who actually killed his brother.
Mhm.
So which is his father's right hand.
Kai.
Yeah.
And I did not trust Kai from the beginning.
Not 1 second. Not 1 second. So he goes and confronts him. He confirms it, and they have a fight scene. And this is the famous fight scene
Very
that gives you
epic.
a beautiful shot of him walking through the fire.
Yeah, it's very classic, like Hong Kong, like inspired fight scene.
Uh-huh.
Because they're on some patio somewhere, and there's like these pits of fire like on stands around them for
Mhm.
some reason. Who lit these? Where did they come from? I don't
Right.
know. Why are they here?
Right.
But of course, they fall over, and the whole ring, there's a ring of fire around them, you know.
Hmm.
And they're fighting, and they're good matches for each other. And at one point, Han gets his hands burned, and the dude is like trying to pull his skin off his hands. It's gruesome. And
Yeah.
eventually, he knocks him out through like one of the doors in this pagoda kind of area.
Hmm.
And the fire's everywhere, and he's trying to look to see if if Han's still alive or whatever. And here comes Han walking through the fire in slow mo. He's back.
Right. He rips his shirt, starts wrapping up his hands, and
Yeah.
he's about to go to work on homeboy. And he eventually kills him.
Defeats him. And so what they do, I think, in this movie to probably keep it PG-13, of course, is that there's not really any blood at all.
True.
And then when people get like these fatal blows, like when they fought the woman, when Han and Trish fought the woman in like the under the bridge or whatever,
Hmm.
um, and then when he's fighting Kai, you see what happens to them internally
Right.
through like this kind of animated 3D method.
Right. Right. Now,
So
imagine watching that in 2000. That was like the coolest thing ever.
yeah,
You know?
it's very Mortal Kombat, like
Hmm.
modern Mortal Kombat.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, you see his spine just accordion, like
Hmm.
and so it's over for him, of course.
Yes.
And that's when Han goes to confront his father.
Right. And he finds out that his father was the one that put in the order to kill his own son
Yep.
for this deal.
Hmm.
You know, he said he was going to mess it up for him and he could not allow it. Mm. So, plot twist.
And another thing that I like here is when it's Han and his father speaking together, most of the time they're speaking in Chinese,
Hmm.
which is like, duh, right? They're not,
It
they're
was
from China. They would speak Chinese to each other.
exactly.
Although you do have like even some more modern films where it's like, why are these people speaking English to each other? Like this wouldn't
Mhm.
really happen, you know.
Right. Right.
And I do appreciate it because these scenes with his father are pretty dramatic,
Hmm.
and you can see much more of Jet Li's range in these scenes.
Yes,
And he does really well with the drama.
he does. He does. I will give it to him for that. Absolutely. He is a really good actor. You
So
know.
he's like, he basically tells his father is like, so are you gonna kill me? You know, because I
Hmm.
killed your brother or whatever. He's like, no, I found who killed my brother, which was the point, right?
Hmm.
And I'm gonna let fate deal with you,
Right.
whatever, you know.
Right.
And
And the
so,
father is feeling the hurt. You know, he
yeah,
had that one tear come down while he was talking to Han about killing Poe. So he is feeling it. He just feels like it was for the greater good.
for of his pockets,
Right.
and because like his father takes out a gun and he's like, "Are you gonna kill me?" Blah blah. And Han's like, "No, I'm not doing
Hmm.
that." And so Han turns to leave, and you hear the gunshot. And at first, I thought that he had shot Han, and I was like, "No, no, you can't." Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't shoot Han. No, he just didn't. But no, he shot himself. He killed
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I knew he wasn't gonna shoot Han because of the guilt that he was feeling for having his son killed. Because he wanted Han to kill him, to put him out of his misery. But
Hmm.
and Han knew that, and that's the reason why he didn't.
Hmm.
You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely knew he wasn't gonna kill Han. There was no way.
Yeah.
So
But Han walks out and sees Trish, and she like caresses his face and gives him a hug, and then walk away.
right, they walk off.
That's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Not being stopped by one police officer that's running into the house, even though everybody heard this gunshot. When nobody gonna ask him no questions or
Mm-mm,
nothing.
mm-mm.
You just walk off.
He just walked off.
Yeah.
And so I was going back to like the kiss that didn't happen. Jet Li was saying, I don't think it would have been thematically appropriate for them to kiss after he just saw his father kill himself. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That's what the balcony scene and the dancing were for.
Right, right, absolutely. Like he act like that was the only
The only
opportunity.
time.
Right. That's not the case. It's not the case. But yeah, so on to our rating system. We have 1 through 5. What are these things called?
Camera film cameras, camera reels.
Camera reels. Jeez Louise. Okay. I don't know where my mind is today. Um, so yeah, so one camera reel is trash AF. Two is it exists. Three is entertaining. Four is great. Five a true classic. What say you, Maria?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
3.
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I enjoyed Aaliyah and Delroy Lindo and Jet Li. I think they all did a really great job. I I really liked the chemistry between the two leads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really loved Aaliyah's character. It was 2 hours, which I was surprised. I thought it'd be like 90 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but I still really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
thought it was fun.
Did it feel like 2 hours?
No, not really.
Yeah. Okay.
How about you? How many camera reels would you give it?
I would say 3 as well. Um, it actually aged pretty well, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's not like a, oh my god, I have to sit down and watch it every
No.
time it comes on TV because it actually came on a couple times last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But it's a
yeah,
pretty fun movie, I think, and
yeah.
has some pretty iconic looks for Aaliyah.
Hmm.
What was your favorite fight scene?
Probably the one when he was upside down.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine was definitely the one where he was like using her to fight.
Yeah, that would be my second. That would be
Yeah,
my. So, but I just remember that one standing out to me back then and now. You know, and then it's bittersweet to see Aaliyah
yeah,
because
because she's so good. Like
it's so
all we
good.
have of her really is just her potential, which
Right,
was just blossoming at that point.
right, right, right. And we can only imagine how far she would have gone.
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah.
But the film was a success.
Hmm.
The box office grossed about $91 million in America for a budget of $25 million.
Oh, that's real good.
Yeah,
That's real.
although critics did not like it.
Yeah. What's your
um, I mean, I guess, but to me, I don't know. I don't know. For me, like most of the fight scenes were just okay. Like there, the 2 or 3 that I like, but there were like quite a bit of fight scenes in here that were just okay, and they
yeah?
should not have been. It should not. They should have been really good.
There's a couple of them that we could have did without. Like
Yes, I agree. The fight scene downstairs, I didn't really need that. He could just run away.
yeah, and then the one when it was right after the funeral when he met up with Kai to talk.
Oh yeah. Well, they were doing kind of like a sparring thing, right?
Yeah, but I could have did without that too.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
It didn't really add anything to the story.
Did not add or take away. Like he could have walked up on him doing his, exercise. Then we would have understood. Okay, he can fight too.
Yeah, yeah,
We didn't actually need to see him fight because we was gonna see him fight at the end.
yeah. That's true.
So yeah, we didn't need that. So that would have cut down on a couple of minutes.
Yeah, keep it a little tighter for sure. And of
Hmm.
course, this is on the heels of the Matrix, so a lot of like kung fu, Hong
Mm,
Kong kind of movies. Um, Martial arts films were getting super popular,
right,
and
right.
so
The
uh,
Matrix and Rush Hour, because I think the original one came out in '98,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Rush Hour is definitely kind of one of the first of these,
Mm,
mixing martial arts with hip hop and R&B kind of thing
mhm.
going on. Um, and it did it really well as far as I remember. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. Uh,
Yeah.
but this one also had a really great soundtrack. Now,
Hmm.
I didn't have the soundtrack, but I remember so many singles from the soundtrack. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this was on there, that was on there, that was on there,
Hmm. I didn't
Um,
have it either, but yeah.
yeah.
I did not know that one of the Aaliyah songs broke a record.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. Either for her, I think it was for her. It broke a record for her.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like on the MTV thing that was behind the scenes, they had like a little concert with the people who were on the soundtrack. So we had Timbaland on there, Shantae Moore, Destiny's Child, Genuine, Joe, Timbaland Magoo, Aaliyah, DMX, of course. So it was a huge hit for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and it was titled that year like one of the five best compilations of 2000. So
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah,
So
the the ratings for the soundtrack were definitely higher than the ratings for the film, but
yeah.
you can't argue with those box office results.
Yeah. Right. Right. And it's what the people say. Because the critics can slam a movie and the people love it.
Yeah,
They slammed Players Club,
yeah.
and
For
we all
me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying we all know Players Club is a classic.
It's a
So
classic.
yeah.
For me, when I'm reviewing films, what I think about is, did the movie do what it said it was going to do, right? Did
Hmm.
we get the story that it said it was going to tell? Did we get the emotions that they said they wanted to work through? Did we get the action that we said we wanted to get, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, this movie hits those.
Yeah.
Not all the way for sure, but it
Right.
hits them satisfactorily enough where it's still a good, fun movie to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it does leave you unfulfilled with the whole them not kissing.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That is definitely a major failure for me for this film.
Yeah.
You know, because the acting didn't fail. The soundtrack definitely didn't fail. Uh,
Right.
she and Jet Li had chemistry, so that didn't fail. So
Right.
the
Right.
action, some of the fighting scenes were just okay. It could have been cut, uh,
Hmm.
and we could have gone a little bit more with the romance angle. But still, I think really some really good work.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree.
All right,
I
Lindsay.
agree.
So where can people find you if they want to follow you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at L_Renell. It's on the screen this week. So, where can they find you?
Well, don't you also have another podcast?
I do. You know, I don't know where my mind is this week. I apologize. Yeah. Yes, I also have another podcast. It's called The Ish We Talk. We talk about various things, me and my cousin, and we also have guest host. I mean, co-host on guest host on
Yeah.
there sometimes. So yeah, and that's available on all streaming platforms as well. What about you, Maria?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Valar More Dollars. It's on the screen here. That's VALARMOR dollars because all men must pay. And you can also hear me on the podcast called Nerdgasm Noir, where it's five Black women talking about nerdy things. And recently, I've also been on Pairweight's live after shows for Euphoria. So if you watch that, you can come follow Pairweight, and we talk about the new episode right after it airs every Sunday night. And if you're
Cool.
watching this, you can find this podcast everywhere podcasts are found. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, you can follow us on YouTube
Absolutely.
and Twitter. at
Absolutely.
Roomies Review the Movies.
Yes. So, join us on episode 3. Episode 3 will be Class Act with Kid and Play. And you haven't seen that, right?
I have not seen that movie.
So I'm so excited. That's like such a good movie. Yay. Class Act.
I hope
So
so. I'm excited. I don't know anything
yeah,
about it.
yeah, this is gonna be fun. So yes, definitely come back for episode 3. So we will see you guys until then.
Bye.
Bye.